Yeah,
Or,
we've
like,
done it
I
for a
mean,
couple of years
really?
now.
This was really the first time we tried to do it kind of on our own.
Welcome to our Passover seder!
They're very similar, and they had all these young kids and just trying to do what they felt was right.
Blessed art thou, O Lord our God, who brings forth fruit from the vine. Blood!
In a Passover Seder, you get very animated about the plagues of Egypt.
Number 3. Bugs.
What?
Wait.
Hey friends, it's Kody from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Wednesday, December 18th, 2024, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Do you remember back in season 7 of Sister Wives, the family traveled to Missouri and they went to go visit this family that were religious polygamists. They were not Mormon, they were actually Christian polygamists. And we were introduced to Nathanael, Rebecca, and Christina Richard. And the family was unique in that Nathan made the decision to become a polygamist because one day he was sitting on the couch and Rebecca was making cookies, and he decided that it would be nice to have someone to snuggle with while she was in the kitchen. Like, that would just be great if he could have one wife that was cooking and another wife to snuggle with. And somehow this, after a zillion years of marriage, helped Nathan basically con his wife into becoming a polygamist. And the family, they did like a lineup when all of the kids were there. They had them all come up and they like did them by number, by their where they went in age. And all of the kids that were born in the family belonged to and were birthed by Rebecca, and his other wife Christina was unable to actually conceive. Do you remember that? Okay. So that family was featured, and then there was another polygamous family. Well, there was several on the show, but that family in Missouri was one of several where the Browns tried to go around the country and find other polygamists that were normal and doing things right, and that this was going to be a way for us to help normalize polygamy. Okay, so that family, the dad now is in the news, and a couple things have happened to that family since they appeared on Sister Wives. It was aired back a decade ago. I don't know if you even remember that, but the episode title was From Monogamy to Polygamy. And Kody met the family. They did a cedar Passover celebration, and this was also the same family where all of the wives and Nathaniel shared the same bed. And the other women that were with Kody were a little bit horrified about the concept of everyone sharing the same bed. And the women, actually surprised to hear that having the man sleep in bed with both women was not normal for polygamy. It was almost like Nathaniel just decided one day he wanted to be a womanizer, and he convinced his wife, long-suffering wife Rebecca, to take on another woman and then forced her to be in this threesome relationship with him. And do you remember how they also had to all take a bite together? So before they would eat a meal, Nathaniel and his wives all took their first bite at the same time. And the sister wives thought that that was weird. And they were like kind of giggling about this concept of like if they all had to take the same bite of food with Kody. Okay, that family. Okay, so now that we've given you a rundown about them, and if you remember, we have some bad news because Nathanael Richard was actually arrested and he's now facing felony charges in the state of Missouri. And the charges were filed back in October. Had a preliminary hearing earlier this month, and he is being charged with 2 counts in Greene County in the state of Missouri, which is interesting. This is the same area where Gypsy Rose Blanchard's case is out. Same prosecuting attorney office, Daniel Patterson, the one that gave Gypsy a sweetheart deal. So maybe this guy will get out of it. But he is charged with 2 counts, and the felony complaint says that they charged the defendant in the violation of Section 565074 RSMO, committed the Class E felony of domestic assault in the 3rd degree, punishable under sections 558.002 and 558.011, in that on or about October 12th, 2024, in the county of Greene, the state of Missouri, the defendant attempted to cause physical injury to V2 by pushing V2 to the ground, and V2 and defendant were family or household members in that V2 and defendant were persons who were related by blood or marriage. So the altercation involves two victims, and it says the range of punishment for a Class E felony is imprisonment in the custody of the Missouri Department of Corrections of a term of a year, not less than 1 year, and not to exceed 4 years, or by imprisonment for a special term not to exceed 1 year in county jail or other authorized penal institution, or by a fine not to exceed $10,000, or by both imprisonment and fine. If money or property has been gained through the commission of the crime, any fine imposed may not be more than double the amount of the offender's gain. So first one is that he pushed someone to the ground and intended to cause physical injury. The second count is related to victim 1, and this is a misdemeanor of domestic assault in the 4th degree. And they say that the defendant purposely placed V1 in apprehension of immediate physical injury by grabbing V1's wrist, and they were family or household members in that V1 and defendant were persons who were related by blood or marriage. And this is a misdemeanor, which could have him in jail for up to a year and no more of a fine than $2,000. And any fine cannot exceed more than double the amount with a maximum of $20,000. The facts that form the basis of the information and belief are contained in the attached probable cause statement. Their probable cause statement actually is sealed. So I don't know exactly what happened or the extent of what happened, but when they requested a warrant for his arrest, they did note that the court finds reasonable grounds to believe the defendant is a danger to the crime victim, the community, or another person. So a bond was set at $5,000, and he was arraigned later that month on it. He posted bond, and they had a bunch of hearings. Okay. So he was booked into Greene County Jail, arrested on account of domestic violence in a felony, and then one of misdemeanor. And so it goes. We don't know who the victims are in this case. At this time, his next hearing is scheduled for January 8th, 2025. And he is out on bond, and his bond was signed by Nathanael Richard. Unknown if that is a wife or a friend. But either way, he's out on bond, and his next hearing will be in January. So this isn't the first time someone from Sister Wives has been arrested for doing things to one of their family members. It's not clear who the victims are, but I can tell you that the woman that appeared as his legal wife on the show, Rebecca, she actually filed for divorce back in 2022. The divorce was actually granted earlier this year in May after 2+ years of going back and forth. And when she filed for divorce, she made an interesting note in the divorce filing about her relationship and like where she was and how she was valued in this family. If you remember these women, they seemed a little bit robotic and almost like they didn't really understand why they were doing polygamy. But Rebecca said that she testified that she was not allowed to work outside the home, leave the home unattended, or obtain further education for the duration of her approximately 23-year marriage. And her sole role was to support her husband in the domestic role. She further testified that she was not valued or respected as an equal partner in the marriage. The court found that the petitioner is not financially able to pay an equalization payment to the respondent due to the fact that she has been denied the opportunity to obtain further education by respondent and was only recently became employed in the workforce for $14 an hour. The custody of the kids was split, and he was ordered to pay her child support. At the time of the decree and when it was adjudicated, it was noted that there was no risk of domestic violence or reported in the home by either party. It sounds like he was very controlling. It sounds like she didn't have a lot of freedom. It sounds like they had an unequal dynamic in the home. I mean, obviously, this is the guy that convinced his wife when she was making cookies that he needed to take a second wife. And if you recall, back when this show aired in 2014, the church that they belonged to actually denounced their practice of polygamy. They were part of a subset of a small church, and the church had no idea they were practicing polygamy. In fact, they met their second wife, Christina, at that church. And once it became public that they were polygamists, that church made a statement to the Ozarks First outlet and basically denounced what the family was doing. So going public kind of got them shunned from their church, rightfully so, because their church did not practice polygamy. So Nathanael Richard is, again, one of several men that have been associated with the show that have been arrested. Others included Kyle Henderson, Kody's friend that appeared in one of the seasons where they went to look at the property. He was actually at the time facing similar charges in Utah, although they were much more severe felonies, and he ultimately got a sweetheart plea deal. And then a former employee of Christine Brown's who appeared very early on. I can't remember what season it was, season 1 or 2, when they had a bunch of people over for dinner, thanking their friends that were not polygamists for being supportive. And Christine's employer, she worked at a gas station. He actually was arrested for indecent crimes against children, where he was charged with several different counts. So that guy was kind of gross. So the long history of polygamous men being abusive allegedly continues. He has pleaded not guilty at this time to the charges. If you recall or remember this episode, let me know. It's not clear if Kody ever kept in touch with the family after they were on the show or not. I did note that I saw on some of his photographs from like several years ago, Janelle had liked some of his pictures. So I don't know if they just kept in touch maybe through Facebook or through not, but they were still in contact after they appeared at the show on the show for a period of time. I don't necessarily expect the family to comment though. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed and click the bell so you never miss a video. Bye everyone.